When you read this talk, you might have been thinking, designing for the caveman brain? Who is the caveman this guy wants to design for? Is that me? Is he talking about me? Is he saying that I'm a caveman? Because if so, then I'm not sure how I feel about that. And the answer to that question is yes. I am talking about you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about Ayman, our host, who just introduced me. I'm talking about Boris, who just gave an amazing talk about memory. I'm talking about all the people who are watching this at home by live stream, maybe later on YouTube. And I'm talking about myself. And to be clear, I'm talking about all human beings, because deep inside, we're all still cavemen or cavewomen. And to convince you of this idea today, I brought something with me. It's right here on the stage. Take a close look. And what it is, it's an invisible, imaginary time machine. It's pretty big. I have to fit inside it, so I'll move it over here. I'll take place in my invisible time machine. And you know what the great thing is? You all get one. You all get a free, imaginary, invisible time machine. Even the people at home get an invisible time machine. Now, the thing with imaginary time machines is you have to imagine that you're time traveling. So right now, I need you all to imagine really, really hard that you're inside of an imaginary time machine, an invisible time machine. Imagine that you're saying goodbye to your neighbors, because who knows where they'll end up. And I need you to close your eyes. And that's a really important thing, because if you don't close your eyes, your imaginary time machine doesn't work. So please, everybody, even if you're at home, close your eyes. I still see a lot of eyes open. Yeah, they're slowly closing. Okay. Close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed until I say you can open them again, and wait for my countdown. T minus 5 seconds to lift off. 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. You have arrived in the era of the caveman. Welcome. Now, for this experiment to work, I need you all to keep your eyes closed a little longer. And I need you to imagine that your time machine has landed in a forest. And it's a beautiful forest. It's the biggest forest you've ever seen. And you get out of your time machine and you take a look around. And what you see are enormous trees. The biggest trees you have ever seen. And when you look up, you get this feeling when you walk into this big cathedral or this mosque. Or when you're at the edge of a cliff and you're looking out over a valley, this sense of look up to these trees. And when you look up, you see at the end of the trees these leaves, fresh-looking leaves. And through the leaves, some sunlight comes through. And the sunlight hits the forest floor, and you feel your feet on the forest floor. It's a kind of cold, a little bit wet. And when you look at the forest floor, you see bushes growing. And in these bushes, you see some fruit. It's red fruit. It kind of looks like strawberries, prehistoric strawberries. And then you realize that this whole time-traveling adventure has made you quite hungry. You feel your stomach rumbling. So you walk over to the bushes, and you pick some of the fruits. And you put the first one in your mouth. And you feel it against your tongue. And you're a little bit cautious, because maybe it's poisonous. But when the strawberry hits your tongue, you taste the best strawberry you've ever tasted. It's like a strawberry, but only 1,000 times fresher. Like it came right out of the prehistory. And while you're enjoying your strawberries, you're leaning against your time machine, popping a few more in your mouth, and you're just looking around a little bit. And then suddenly, in between two trees, you see something. You see two eyes staring at you. And it's not just two eyes, there's a face around it. There's a little bit of white and orange and black stripes, and then it hits you. What you're seeing just 10 meters in front of you is a tiger, a real life tiger. Roar! You feel the adrenaline pumping through your veins. You jump back into your time machine, you close it, and you configure it to go back to present day, but you see the tiger approaching you. It's running at you, and it's jumping at you. And just as it is about to hit you, you open your eyes. You open your eyes and take a look around. And you realize you're safe, you've made it back. So you lean back in your chair, you take a deep breath. Welcome in the 21st century. Now I wanted you all to imagine this time-traveling adventure because it illustrates two mechanisms of our caveman brain that still shape our behavior nowadays. If you think of the strawberries, they taste so good because there's sugars in it. And food with a lot of sugar was very beneficial in prehistoric times because they allow you for quick bursts of energy to run away from predators. So our caveman brain has evolved to enjoy the taste of sugar. And sugar triggers the reward center of your brain. And when you spotted a tiger, another system activated. It's called your fight or flight response. And what it does, it sends a rush of adrenaline to your body, it heightens your senses, and it prepares your entire body to either defend itself or to run away, fight, or flight. And our body has become amazing at recognizing these threats. Our caveman brain is so focused on identifying these threats that whenever you encounter something you have never seen before, your brain will automatically assume that it is a threat. And it makes sense from an evolutionary perspective because imagine that you're in a safe situation, but your brain thinks it's life-threatening. Nothing happens. You're still alive. You might get a little bit stressed, but you're still alive. Now imagine the opposite. You're in a life-threatening situation, but your caveman brain thinks it's safe. Well then, you're gone. You're dead. So it makes sense that our caveman brain is very cautious of change, of new situations. So our caveman brain really likes strawberries because of the sugars in them. And he thinks we need the energy. And that's why we really like the taste of sugar. And we are extremely cautious of new situations because our caveman brain wants to save our lives. And that makes sense in prehistoric times. And it made sense for hundreds of years. And over those hundreds of thousands of years, our caveman brain evolved, and this caveman behavior was engraved into the DNA, and it was spread from generation on generation. But when you move our caveman brain to the 21st century, not all of it makes sense anymore. And sometimes our caveman brain makes decisions that we wouldn't make in our right mind. Our caveman brain is just a little lost in the world that we live in today. And that makes sense because if you look at how much time has passed since the caveman brain evolved, it's millions of years. But in just 12,000 years, we invented farming. We could live at the same place. We invented computers. We invented cars. We invented phones, virtual reality. Our lives have changed completely. And so our caveman brain is seeing changes everywhere, and it's assuming they are threats. And when you're walking in the dark and you hear something behind you, your caveman brain will assume that it is a threat. Or when our bosses want to talk to us, your caveman brain thinks it's a threat. And when you encounter somebody who has a different political view than you have, it's a threat. Even when you just see the color red, your caveman brain thinks, wow, that looks like blood. It must be a dangerous situation. So your caveman brain recognizes all these threats, and it's building onto millions of years of evolution, and it's using that behavior that it's developed over all those years to try to save your life, but instead it's doing the opposite. Because our craving for sweet and sugary things has made obesity a big problem. And the fact that we see threats in every new thing we see or in changes we encounter have made us a very stressed species, and people get burned out of their jobs. We have created a society that tricks our caveman brain into thinking it's working in our best interest, but instead, it's doing the opposite. Now, companies that have become amazing at tricking our caveman brain are fast food restaurants. And their goal from start to end is to get you in, to eat your food as fast as possible and get you out again. They have engineered their food to be cheap and fast, but they don't stop there. Their restaurants are designed with a lot of red usually to get you out as soon as possible by triggering your fight or flight response. And when you get out, you see these big marketing campaigns everywhere. And what they do, they make you associate their brand with happiness and with good food to get you back in again, to eat their food, to get you back out again. Now, are they designing for our caveman brain? Well, they are tricking it, but they're not doing it for our caveman brain. They're just doing it to make money. And I don't think that all these fast food restaurants are evil corporations or that their employees are evil. But I do think that a lot of the employees of these restaurants are being tricked into thinking that they're doing a good job. They look at the money they make. They look at how well their marketing campaigns are doing or how cheap their food is. And in the process, they're losing track of the fact that they are tricking their customers into consuming food that actually isn't good for them. Fast food restaurants aren't the only corporations who are doing this. A lot of companies are tricking their employees and their customers, are tricking the caveman brains of their employees and their customers. We have created a society that tricks our caveman brain. Our caveman brain are being tricked into creating a society that is tricking our caveman brains. So that seems like an endless cycle. A society that is created by caveman brains that are being tricked. Can we end this cycle? Maybe not. But maybe we can. And I think we can do that by starting to design for the caveman brain. And when I'm talking about design, I'm not talking about fancy chairs for rich people or the latest smartphone. No, I'm talking about a process. The process of identifying a solution, considering different options, and picking the best one, and going through that process over and over and over again. The process that cavemen used to come up with the idea for the wheel. Or the process that Thomas Edison used when he came up with the light bulb. It's a process of creation and making decisions. So how can we shape this process into designing for the caveman brain? Well, I think it's all about changing our perspective. We don't need to change the process, we need to change our mindset. So don't think that you are a designer designing something for a client. And don't think that you're designing for the customer of the company. And don't think that you're designing a product for its user. But instead think of yourself as a human being with a caveman brain, designing tools for other human beings with caveman brains. And then we all have the same urges. We want to survive, we want to find a mate, maybe create some offspring. And we want to be part of the tribe. And if you're in the process of designing tools for other caveman brains, whenever you have to make a decision, ask yourself two questions. Is my caveman brain being tricked into making this decision? And do I then still want to make this decision? And don't just ask this question for yourself, but also think about who you are influencing with your design. And then ask the question, by making this decision, am I tricking their caveman brain into making a decision? And if so, do I still want to make this decision? Now, I don't think that designers should be the only ones taking care of our caveman brain. Everybody makes decisions every day that influence either ourselves or other people. And with all these decisions, you can ask these questions. So next time, when you're in the supermarket and you're about to buy something sugary or something fat, or when you're about to get mad at somebody about something stupid, something small, or when you're watching a TED Talk and you're deciding on what you think about the TED Talk, ask yourself two questions. Is my caveman brain being tricked into making a decision? And do I still want to make this decision? And that is what I would like to give you all today to take home. Two simple questions. Thank you very much.